Hello, my name is Angela, and last year I quit my job to be a full-time artiste and give YouTube an honest shot. I could have never guessed what would happen next. After just 1 month, brands were reaching out to me for collaboration. After 2, I was monetized, and after 4 months, I reached 10,000 subscribers. If you've been following along for a while now, you know it was not always rainbows and sunshine. I know how intimidating starting an art YouTube channel can be. Like, what do you mean I have to find my niche, figure out how to film and edit, all the while trying to crack the algorithm and be an artist? If you are feeling the struggle, don't worry, I've been there. In this video, I'm going to share everything I know about growing an art YouTube channel while only posting once every 2 to 3 weeks. Because let's be honest, ain't nobody got time. And here's the best part, you do not need expensive gear to get started. I'm going to show you how to start your art channel with just an iPhone and a moth invisible tripod. So if you're ready, grab your art supplies and your camera as we embark on this intimidating but worthwhile YouTube journey. Let's see where it takes us. If you clicked on this video, you probably have already asked yourself, what kind of art YouTuber do I want to be? It's a loaded question. It's like when your parents asked you what career you wanted to pursue for the rest of your life when you barely lived any of it. I'm like, Mom, be so for real right now. I can barely solve a basic math problem and you want me to solve the horror mystery that is my future? I don't think so. Well, like most things in life, you don't know what you want until you try. The good news is, even though you might feel like you're starting from zero, you're not. Most of us have been consuming media since childhood, from TV, movies, YouTube, social media. All you have to do now is consume intentionally. It's the easiest yet most underrated way to start your YouTube journey. Your time is incredibly valuable. So when you're watching your favorite YouTubers, ask yourself, what made you willingly give them your time? How did you discover them, and what keeps you coming back? I discovered most of my favorite art YouTubers through educational content back when I was trying to figure out how to start a small art business. And chances are you found a lot of your favorite art YouTubers through these kinds of videos as well. Maybe you don't like watching educational content. Maybe you like watching these artists because they're very cozy or super funny. Well, why? Why was it funny? What was the reason? For example, I love watching Camilla's videos because not only is she a super talented artist, she is freaking hilarious. Her edits make her even funnier with abrupt cuts in music, video, and perfect timing when it comes to sound effects. I started using the same tools as well to really amplify my barely holding it together energy. As someone who is always on the edge of chaos, I figured I might as well lean into it. I also watch a lot of art YouTubers for their quality and creative content. Gox, for example, is super creative with his movement and composition, like this clip right here. So I decided to do my own version with a paintbrush. Fittingly, Gox has a video about how all artists are thieves, and I could not agree more. Steal like an artist by making these inspirations your own. Just as important as noticing why you click on a video is figuring out why you click out. Maybe you are a distracted person like me, but also was there another video that stole your attention? What about that thumbnail or title enticed you to leave the previous video in the dust? These questions will help you be the YouTuber you want to watch. Now that you know what you like and don't like, let's apply that knowledge to finding your niche and video topics that will help you grow in the beginning stages. First of all, I know the word niche will make a lot of you guys crash out, but don't worry, your niche will find you the more you show up. With that being said, there are ways to make it easier for your audience to find you. They exist, trust me, you just gotta help them out a little bit. A little nudge. When starting out, think of your niche as yourself, or maybe your past self, because chances are your audience will see themselves in you and find value in your lived experiences. Most of my viewers are female artists living in the US that are 25 to 34 years old. You know who that sounds like? Literally me. Yeah. The number of people who send me comments and messages saying we are the same person in different font is hilarious, and I love it. Your niche will evolve over time, but this is a good starting point. In my videos, I will mention my age, keep my content art and small business focused, and I will also bring in mental health conversations because of my extensive professional background in being unhinged. But also I was a psych nurse. Sprinkle in a little authenticity, and I got myself a supportive, engaged audience that shares my values. Speaking of values, the best way to grow an audience is by making valuable content. If you're thinking, but I have nothing valuable to share, Ms. Ma'am, my brother or sister in Christ, I'm gonna need you to think a little harder. There are so many ways you can bring value. You don't have to be an expert to teach, you just need to be a few steps ahead of someone else. We all have a unique mix of experiences, which means there is space for you to teach. I'm also not a super duper successful small business owner, but hey, I started one, and people thought it was really insightful to see my experiences in the beginning stages. Did I feel the craziest imposter syndrome when I started building an audience off my educational videos? Yes, I did. But did I also get so many sweet messages about how I helped people get started, how I inspired them to start pursuing their dreams? Yes, I did, and it made everything worth it. Do not let your insecurities rob the world of your value. Another less obvious but equally as powerful form of value, one that's the heart of why YouTube vlogs are so popular, is giving people a window into your experiences that are unique to you or have a higher barrier to entry. People love seeing things they haven't experienced, which is why videos where artists are packing hundreds of orders do so well. But if you're just starting out, your unique experiences might look a little different. My unique experience was quitting my 9-to-5, risking my savings, and full sending my artist career when it was failing on all fronts. The barrier to entry in my experience was I took the risk of starting. If I was still at my 9-to-5, I would probably be making videos about how I balance my job with my side art hustle. If I had zero audience and I was killing the vendor game, I would make videos about that. If I didn't already have an online presence or an existing community, I would make a video about how I was starting from scratch. My point is, you don't have to be crazy successful to share insight into your journey. Come a little closer as I tell you this. There will always be more people who haven't started compared to those who have. Be on the side of people who start. Yo, do I have the stats to back that up? No, but it sounded good though, right? Bruh. What I'm trying to say is there are a lot more people a few steps behind you in certain areas of your life than you think. And people are not just curious about your wins, but also how you push through your struggles. Another value you can bring is entertainment and storytelling. This is going to shine through your personality, scripting, filming, and editing. But it is getting dark, so I will see you tomorrow with more practical tips on how to get started. Bye! Hello, let's talk about scripting. I will be holding my phone because I have a lot of notes on here, so I'm sorry if it's distracting to you. How I script was surprisingly the most commonly asked question I got on Instagram when I asked you guys to give me some cues so I could serve up some A's on how to start an art YouTube. To be honest, I script as much as I can because I am not a natural when it comes to speaking. Hello, my name is Angela, and last year I quit my... Obviously, I can't script when my life goes off the rails and things don't go as planned, which happens all the time. Girl, what are you gonna say? Marketing. What do you know about marketing? Bruh. If you are one of those people who could speak super eloquently off the dome, I envy you. Because you are going to save so much time on scripting and doing bad takes, which is like 90% of my footage. I don't recite my script word for word because my memory is trash. But at least if I trail off and I start slipping and sliding on my smooth brain, I have a script to return to. Stop improvising, girl. Stop improvising. I don't remember what I said. I have something called my everything journal on Google Docs, or where I do my brain dump. This is where I vomit all of my ideas with zero judgment. Not everything becomes a video, but it helps me visualize and organize my thoughts. I usually start with random bullet points everywhere, and then I organize them into topics, and then into paragraphs. If I have a shot list in mind, I will slap a bullet point list under the paragraphs. It's sloppy, but as long as I get it, who cares? I usually only plan out a shot list for my intro, outro, and sponsorships because I want those to be bangers. Everything in between is going to be me making art, living my small business life, and voila, a script is born. Generally speaking, I'll take the topics from my video and I will assign days to them that make sense in my schedule. I try to align my script to whatever is already happening in my life, so instead of filming interrupting my art process, it naturally fits into it. The more you film, the easier it gets for you to think on the fly. And you'll have more go-to shots you can naturally pull from. But if you're feeling stuck, here are some cool shots and compositions you can try in your next video to make it more dynamic. The first thing you want to do is to have good coverage of your scene. You want a wide shot to show the context or environment, a medium shot to show your actions, and a close-up shot to show your emotions or fine details. For a more unique perspective, you can place your camera or your phone in something that you're opening and closing. I've done this with my closet, boxes, my fridge. This adds an immersive element to your videos and makes it more engaging. Another great tool to experiment with is a magic arm. It's an affordable clamp that lets you attach your camera to different objects while keeping it stable. This is perfect for getting those cool Gox-like shots I was talking about. Then there is a frame in a frame shot, which is a composition technique where the subject is framed within another object in the scene. This could be a window or a doorway or a mirror. This adds depth and makes your shot more visually appealing. The overhead shot is another great option. It can be really annoying to set up, but so worth it. If you want to improve your composition, turn on the grid lines for your camera or your phone to follow the rule of thirds. Placing your subjects on the grid line or at their intersections make your compositions more balanced and engaging. For example, by putting myself in the corner of the shot, it shows that I am feeling small and overwhelmed by my day ahead. Or in the shot where I leave space above my head to represent my thoughts and reflections. Finally, there is the match cut, which is a seamless transition between shots that share a theme, like movement, shapes, or sound. These are just a few shots you could pull out of your toolbox, but don't feel pressure to use all of them, and most importantly, have fun with it. Let's talk about gear. There are a million options out there, and what you buy is going to depend on your goals and your budget. The most affordable option is likely going to be your phone. However, the sensor on your phone is small, so it won't perform well in low light. Also, when using cinematic mode, the depth of field is fake. With that being said, you can totally make it work. She is compact, discreet, she is a cutie patootie. If you have an iPhone 15 Pro or 16 Pro with a bunch of storage, you are going to be able to get some pretty amazing footage off of it. But I personally have an iPhone 14, and apparently most of my audience has an iPhone 14 or older as well. There are so many YouTubers killing the game with just their iPhone, and I will show you how to do that in the next portion of the video. So please do not count yourself out if this is the option you have. But let's just say you have a little bit more of a budget and you want to invest in a beginner-friendly camera. The DJI Osmo Pocket 3 is also another cutie patootie camera. I do not personally own one, but there is a reason she is so popular. It's more affordable than a lot of cameras on the market. And it shoots in 10-bit, which basically means the camera can capture more color information, giving you flexibility when you are color grading. If you need smooth, stabilized footage in a very compact package, this is a solid choice. Personally, I use the first gen Sony ZV-E10 with a shotgun mic and a wide-angle lens. It's an 8-bit camera, but for vlogging purposes, it gets the job done. I also love that you can change the lenses if you like. I film at night all the time, and the footage is pretty okay. On top of that, I get so many compliments on the quality of my videos. For my tripod, I use the Vanguard tripod. I love it because you could do a lot of angles with it. It also has some weight, making it really sturdy. With that being said, it is not a travel-friendly tripod because of how heavy it is. Okay, now let's talk about lighting. My favorite option is daylight, but daylight is sometimes unpredictable. I personally don't own any professional studio lights. I want to in the future, but what I have right now works. So let me tell you about it. I use my desk lamp from Canvas to turn my footage from this to this, and my Plants Grow light from Soltech to turn my footage from this to this. And then last but not least is the practical light, which is any visible light in your background. It serves as an aesthetic and functional purpose. It sets you apart from the background and just looks cute. For that, I just use my dresser lamp. I rarely turn on my overhead lights because it's kind of giving hospital. It's giving Frankenstein, you know? Also, if you're looking for a more cinematic look, film on the shadow side. And there you have it. Congratulations, you have completed your research and planning. Now throw it all away. I'm just kidding, but I have bad news for you. Most of your learning is gonna be on the job. I know, I hate to hear it too. So tomorrow we will be clicking that record button together. Okay, bye. Hello, today I'm going to be making an illustration and I'm going to show you exactly how I would film it on my iPhone 14 Pro Max. Let's start with settings. I film in 4K at 30 frames per second and I don't use ProRes because the file sizes are so massive at 4K, my phone does not support it. I use the back camera as much as possible for the highest quality, and don't forget to clean your lenses of your fingerprints. You can see your camera view if you have an Apple Watch through the camera app. However, if this is not accessible for you, don't fret, just do a test shot to make sure you are in frame and you're good to go. I am super excited to be partnering with Moth to show you how to use their invisible tripod to get those creative shots because let's be honest, filming art content is already a challenge. And putting a bulky tripod between you and your canvas just to get that perfect front close-up shot is enough to make you never want to record your process ever again. Moth's origami-inspired design eliminates those frustrations, giving you the flexibility to film without interrupting your creative flow. And it is amazing for small business social media content. It's also made out of vegan leather which resists the elements. And thank goodness Moth sent me an iPhone case along with the tripod because I recently got a really cheap iPhone case off of Amazon and it was already peeling. Moth's invisible tripod can be used in stand mode for reference photos and low angle shots, vlogging mode for headshots and b-roll, and my personal favorite, floating mode for endless possibilities. In addition to their tripod, I took a chance and asked them if they would send me their smart desk mat and accessories, which have been on my wish list since before I even quit my job. So as you can imagine, I was so stoked when they sent me the set. I love how I can customize this desk set to fit my creative workflow. As someone who works from home, it helps me stay organized and boosts my productivity effortlessly. Thank you Moth for sponsoring this video. Elevate your film and office setup today with their innovative gear and grab 10% off with my code. Click the link in my description to get yours today. The first thing I'm going to do is take some b-roll of my room to set up the stage. Also, if you don't have steady hands like me, put your camera as close to your body as possible and then add stabilization when you are editing. I do not have the core strength for this, I'm shaking. Now that I have set the scene, I'm putting my iPod. Millennial. Now that I got my b-roll, I'm going to set my camera right here to get that wide shot of me walking to my shelf.
Bruh.
And then the medium shot of me crouching down to get my iPad. Because the setup is so compact, I'm going to take advantage and do a shot I wouldn't be able to normally do with my camera, which is a perspective from inside my shelf. I'm going to try a creative POV shot with this tripod and iPhone. It's one of those things that's super extra, you don't have to do it, but it's cool when you do. It's going to require a little bit of balance. For my desk setup, I'm going to do an overhead shot. Usually this is super annoying with a tripod, but since I'm using my phone, it is going to be easy peasy. My setup is now done. I'm going to pan the camera. You usually want to do this on a smooth surface. To keep the movement smooth, sometimes people will put a napkin or a towel under their camera and drag it, but I find that with this Moth tripod, it works just fine the way it is. Oh shoot. Don't forget to press record, y'all. I'm going to try a very stupid shot I haven't done before. But that's the fun thing about filming is that you don't have to use it if it doesn't work out. I'm going to do something called a speed ramp. I'm going to have it go from normal speed to slow-mo as I am flipping my pen. I'm going to do this in 60 frames per second to give me more flexibility with the time changes. And yeah, wish me luck. Ooh. Nope, nope, And God. What is up? Oh my God, I did it. I did it. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Before I start drawing, I cannot emphasize enough the importance of putting your camera on the opposite side of your dominant hand. Because if you don't, your hand and arm will be covering all the work that you've done and you will be devastated. Also, if you couldn't tell, I like to front load all of the fancy stuff in the beginning, but when I'm drawing, I do not want to think about filming at all. So I rotate between 3 shots. This side shot here, and then that front shot right here, and then some close-ups of my face. Alrighty, let's start drawing. I don't typically film every second of my process. Sometimes it's just nice to not have a camera on you the whole time. Plus, that would take up a ton of storage. I just capture the parts I think viewers would find interesting. If you're someone who often forgets to record, try setting a timer at intervals to remind yourself. We did it, guys. That was low-key hella stressful. I was trying to illustrate before sunset because the iPhone needs really good lighting, and then I was manning this camera and the camera that is recording right now, but we did it. Yes! Victory. Alright, I'm gonna go eat now and I'll be back with the editing process. Bye. Hello and welcome to my office. I may or may not have done some editing last night because I am a workaholic. It says weekend getaway because it's the weekend. And it's getting away from me because I'm working. Working hard to get this video out to y'all. So let's get you all caught up on my editing journey and process. My first ever video on YouTube was done on CapCut. It was the first time I ever used my camera, so I didn't want to learn a complicated software at the same time. After my first video, I graduated to DaVinci Resolve. Both CapCut and DaVinci have amazing free versions. And in the beginning, you definitely do not have to pay for any features. In fact, DaVinci Resolve has so many features that it can be overwhelming, and the learning curve is as steep as it looks. I am 5 months in and I am still discovering new things about the software. Call me crazy, but the challenge is what makes it fun and rewarding. Did I want to dropkick my laptop out the window during the early struggles? You bet I did. But I knew it wasn't the software's fault, it was my lack of patience. After I got over that hump and accepted that yes, I do suck, I gave myself room to play, explore, and improve, so I sucked less. And that, my friend, is how learning works. So don't be too hard on yourself in the beginning. But if editing makes you want to crash out, start with CapCut and iMovie to learn the basics like I did. And if you ever have a vision and you don't know how to execute it, just ask YouTube or ChatGPT. That's how I find most of my answers nowadays. Now that you've chosen your editing software, let's go ahead and open it up together. This is not a DaVinci Resolve tutorial, but more of a behind the scenes of my process. So don't worry if you're using a different program. The flow is going to be pretty similar regardless of what you're working with. Here's the general order of operations I loosely follow when I'm making my videos. First, I pick the right music. Then I'll cut and place the clips to match the music's timing. After that, I'll do my voiceovers, and then the fun part, adding text, graphics, sound effects, VFX, the whole shebang. Last and definitely not least is the color correction and color grading. So let's break down each step together. Music sets the emotional tone of your video and is an integral part of your storytelling. I use Epidemic Sound and I have a link in my description, but you could use whatever you want. Cutting to the beat of the music is going to make the flow feel more natural. For example, if there is a very strong kick drum or snare or a fill, I will try to cut on those beats. And don't worry, you don't have to be musically inclined. If you look at the waveform, you'll be able to see where it peaks. And that's usually where the strongest beats are. All I did last night was this step. So, as I yap, I'm gonna continue editing. Speaking of yapping, I use my husband's work mic for voiceovers. Yes, the one he uses for Zoom and his gaming. But honestly, it works just fine. If you don't want to buy a mic, just use your phone's mic. Try not to move around so much so your volume stays consistent. And do a mic check to make sure you're not too loud to avoid clipping, which will distort your audio. After I lay down the bare bones of my video, I like to add movement. If you're filming yourself 99% of the time like I am, you won't be able to add movement unless you purchase a slider, which, let's be honest, most of us are not doing. I like adding my movements in post. You could do zoom ins, zoom outs, panning shots. This keeps your video visually interesting. But just because you can do all the things doesn't mean you should. There is a time and place for it. If you're trying to do something dramatic or epic like this clip.
Bruh.
Choose a faster paced song, add more cuts, add more movement. But if you're trying to portray a slower scene or something maybe emotional, strip back the editing a little bit. Next up is color correction. There is no exact science to this because every scene is going to be different. But generally speaking, I try to balance the image so that the highlights aren't blown out and the shadows are not crushed. Because when this happens, you lose all the details in those areas. However, some footage is just unsalvageable, and this is due to the lighting conditions or your camera settings during the time, but if you're just filming your life, it's just bound to happen. I personally still use my terrible footage because I am just an art vlogger. Nobody is expecting me to make a cinematic feature film, so don't put that pressure on yourself either. When editing color temperature, take note that daylight is usually cooler than indoor lighting, so for night shots, I embrace that warmth. It also adds a cozy atmosphere. After you've handled your basics, you could add some stylistic choices. Some people like using LUTs, which is basically a film version of a photo filter or a Lightroom preset. I personally do not use any LUTs, but who knows, maybe I'll use one in the future. This is a great option for beginners, however, I highly suggest you start watching a lot of tutorials and train your eye on how to edit. I am still actively doing this with every video I post. Your color grading is going to depend on your preferences, and the more you do it, the more you'll grow into it. For example, I like increasing the saturation for the greens in my room. I think it really highlights my plants and brings my room to life. Also, if you're ever color grading and you're catching yourself thinking there has to be an easier way to do this, there probably is. So do your research on how to do things and how to do them efficiently, because you are a boss babe and you do not have time to waste. So once I get my edits down for a particular clip, I will save my settings and use that for all of my shots with similar lighting situations. Then I will go back and fine tune as needed. I know this sounds overwhelming, but don't stress about learning everything. Start by mastering a few editing tools and add more with every video you post. You can get more practice in by applying these tips to your short form videos, so then you don't have to commit to a long form video if it's too intimidating. Treat editing like how you treat your art and have fun. Okay, I need to stop editing now because I'm losing daylight and I really want to talk about the importance of thumbnails, intros, and titles. The first impression you have on your audience is just as important as the rest of your video. If you don't make a good impression, they're not going to watch the rest of the video that you worked so hard on. In your thumbnail, use images and big text so people know what your video is about at a glance. Showing your eye contact or an emotion is also another way to engage your audience. And yes, I will absolutely record tons of cringy videos so then I can get my perfect thumbnail shot, because it is that important. Also, put your most crucial words in the beginning of your title, because YouTube will cut off the ending in search results. You don't want your click-worthy title to be Cozy Fall Art Vlog. How I decided I... Go what? You get it. If you choose to incorporate an intro, try to make it spicy. Give your audience a reason to stay. For example, in my small art business video, I opened with a stack of orders to tell people I have sales and you can too. Because you know what I'm not? A gatekeeper, okay? And the next thing I want to ungatekeep is how to get paid. Because let's be honest, YouTube is a lot of work and it'd be nice to get compensated. While I gave you all the tea on how to get paid, I need to open a package from Shopify, like the one and only Shopify. They decided to send regular schmegular little old me a gift for no reason at all. Not sponsored, they didn't ask anything from me, and I've only had my shop open for a few months, which is crazy. Okay, I'm gonna get the package real quick. Getting multiple brand deals in my inbox was not something I expected early on, especially when I was at 3,000, 4,000 subscribers. And surprisingly, none of my partnerships have come from me reaching out. What I've learned is companies care more about views and engagement than subscriber count. And having a strong niche helps. Nowadays, YouTube is pushing out more small content creators than ever. This is amazing news. Thanks to my small but very supportive community, I was able to partner up with brands 1 month after quitting my job. So do your best to make those valuable, clickable videos we were talking about. Additionally, brands are more likely to work with you if you have high quality content. In the beginning, your community is small, so the brands can at least use your footage as user-generated content, or UGC for short. Also, thank you so much, Shopify, for gifting me this. It's so sweet. I definitely need to up my vending game after this. If you don't want sponsorships, another way to get paid is through YouTube AdSense. For the month of February, I got $400, which is freaking amazing. If you want to get monetized quickly, here are my tips. In order to get fully monetized, you need 1,000 subscribers and either 4,000 public watch hours within the last 12 months or 10 million shorts views within the last 90 days. Before I quit my job, I was just passively posting my reels on shorts, and doing that helped me reach my 1,000 subscriber benchmark. However, I am not a viral short form baddie, okay? It would take me a billion years to get those 10 million views. And by then, I still won't get monetized because it has to happen within 90 days. So the fastest way to get monetized is by posting longer, engaging videos. The first video I ever posted was only 4 minutes long. I had spent a whole week after work editing this 4-minute video. So when it flopped, I decided YouTube wasn't for me and I gave up. Don't be like me. Don't just give up because your first video flops. It wasn't until I quit my job that I decided to try it again. But knowing what I know now, I wish I never gave up. Because if you scrap everything I made before I quit my job, I would have been monetized within the same amount of time. In the beginning, you can tell I was a little reluctant to post longer videos. After doing short form for a few years, I got super scared that people would be bored out of their minds watching my videos. But YouTube was built on long form. It's called long. I find that artists specifically love long videos because we like playing it in the background while we're making art. Remember, no one complains that a good movie is too long. As long as you put out work you're proud of, don't be afraid to take up space. Experiment, fail often, and learn how to better serve your community with every video you make, and you will be entrusted with people's time. Not every video is going to perform well. No video is going to be perfect. But every single video can help you grow if you take your failures as lessons rather than roadblocks. Analytics, mistakes, flopped videos. They're all just data for your next project. So please do not give up. All right, I have one more very exciting package to open, and it is the Sony FX3. Oh my god. I have been wanting this camera for 2 years now, but I could not justify the purchase, especially after I quit my job. So my sweet, sweet husband decided to surprise me with one after I reached my 10,000 subscriber milestone. However, he used my Amazon Prime account, so I received the notification before it arrived. Was this a financially wise decision? Absolutely not. He told me that he sold his stocks, and he looked at me and said, "You are my investment now." And this was my reaction.
Thank you.
Oh my god, you're really going in.
Stop recording me.
What a mess. For so many years, I've only cried sad tears. Some of them I've shared with you, but for the first time in my life, I have the privilege of crying ugly, happy tears. All the shiny things like this camera and the PR packages are nice, but there's nothing like having the people I love and this community I've built believing in me and my vision. It's easy to say all this now, holding a cinema camera, so instead, let me take you back. Here's the iPhone footage we worked so hard on. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. I hope that when you embark on this YouTube journey, you don't treat it like a job, but rather a new creative endeavor with endless possibilities. In the beginning, there will be many unpaid hours, moments you feel directionless, days of refreshing your analytics wondering if you're cut out for this field. In those moments, give yourself grace and do your best to take your time and enjoy each step. Use that silly take. Say what you really mean, and share your work boldly with the world. Remember the first time you fell in love with making art? You probably didn't create your best work, but it was still magic, wasn't it? Turning a blank canvas into a story, even if it was just stick figures or unrecognizable blobs. Sometimes I wish I could go back, pick up that brush for the first time, feel that wide-eyed wonder all over again. Every season has something beautiful to offer, but seasons are fleeting. Don't miss out on the joy of starting. Keep going. Do it for your future self who will thank you for not giving up, and for your younger self, the one who dreamed of creating something meaningful. If you've been hesitating to take that first step, consider this your sign to begin. Comment good signs if you made it to the end. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.